Many people at one point in their lives may experience an identity crisis. It happens, especially in today's society where we have so much access to voices telling us who we should be or and how we should be doing things. And it's so important that you know who you are, because if you don't know who you are and accept who you are, with all these voices, it's so easy for someone to fall into confusion or, just be thrown out of alignment and off course. And if you truly want to walk in wholeness, if you truly want to live a fulfilled life and be empowered, it's so important that you know who you are. Because obviously, we find fulfillment when we walk in purpose, and your purpose is linked to your identity. All that you have in terms of your character, your temperament, helps you to be able to live out and fulfill that purpose. So it's so important that you know who you are. It's so important that you know your identity, and as you seek to know, that you accept who you are. Because it's one thing to know who you are, but it's another thing to actually accept and love who you are. There's one thing that I usually say: when you know who you are, you will know what you are about. When you know who you are and you grow in that knowledge of your identity, and as a result your purpose, you'll be in a position where you can make choices and decisions that keep you in alignment with who you are, with your purpose. You will be able to set boundaries that protect your purpose, protect you. You won't necessarily easily be burnt out, because you'll know what to say yes to, you'll know what to say no to, you'll know where to position yourself, who to be around and who to expect around you. You won't be threatened also when you see other people, because you'll know and be able to recognize that everyone is unique, and therefore you all have something to carry and offer, and you will be able to be more secure. And I just want to say, as you go on the journey of like seeking to know who you are and growing in the knowledge of your identity, and as a result purpose, because purpose, you discover purpose when you know who you are, it's so important that you do not forget the truth and the fact of identity. There is a truth and there is a fact of identity that will not change, regardless of feelings, regardless of whatever you try to do. And it's so important that you remember this, so you are not thrown into confusion or deception. So the truth and fact of identity, for example, is that for me, I am born with XX chromosomes. I am biologically a female. I am a woman. Regardless of what I feel, regardless of what people say to me, regardless of whatever I do or my expression, it will never change that fact. As long as I'm here, that is the truth of my identity. That is the truth and fact of my identity that will never change, regardless of what I think, feel, or do. For someone who is born with the XY chromosomes, they are a male, they are a man, regardless of their interests, regardless of their temperament, regardless of their personality, regardless of what they do. That's the truth and fact of their identity that will never change. But whilst there's a truth and fact of identity, obviously, as we are all unique individuals, how we are as women and girls, our expressions of womanhood, femininity will look different from person to person. One person may like pink, another person may like black, one may be more bubbly and outspoken, someone else may be more on the reserved side. Someone may have an interest in dressing up, someone may have an interest in sports, or I don't know, wrestling or something. Our expressions, our interests, our character traits, our temperaments will look different. Our expressions will be different because we are all different and unique. However, despite these uniqueness in our expression, it does not take away from the truth and the fact of our identity, that we are women. And it's so important that we remember this. And with all these expressions, it's so important that these expressions are exercised within the boundaries of truth. And this actually protects us from falling into confusion. It protects us from falling into error. It protects us from falling into deception or even delusions. Our expressions, our feelings, our emotions, our interests should never override the truth, but rather it should be expressed within the boundaries and the protection of this truth. That's what keeps us truly in alignment and enables us to be able to actually walk in our purpose. Because you can think something about your identity and accept something about your identity that is contrary to the truth. And because it's contrary to the truth, you actually put yourself out of purpose and out of alignment, because you can't be truly in alignment if you're not in alignment with truth ultimately. So it's so important that we remember the truth and the fact of our identities. So yes, seek to know who you are, seek to grow in your identity, seek to accept who you truly are. But in our seeking of who we are and growing in that knowledge, don't forget truth. So yeah.